Obviously, when you feel fear around, touching something hot, because you're gonna hurt yourself. Like, that's not in any way what I'm talking about. I think it's more important to understand that what I'm talking about is more like the fear, the inertia, and the anxiety that leads to the procrastination and not doing the things that we know are going to move us towards what it is that we're pursuing. Growth Gang! Welcome back to another Growth Talk. Today, we're going to talk about fear. And I think that it's very important to denote that you're never truly fearless. It's been a lot of times in my life where, like, I've had people out of admiration be like, man, like, you're fearless, bro. Like, this guy has no fear. Like, oh, no, no. It's like, no. I think the more important accolade maybe to afford me would be I feel the fear and do it anyways. So that is essentially what I implore you to do when anytime that you feel fear, where it's a it's a beacon of growth. Like, you're feeling fear around an unknown in an endeavor, something that you're going to push through and do. Obviously, when you feel fear around, touching something hot, because you're gonna hurt yourself. Like, that's not in any way what I'm talking about. I think it's more important to understand that what I'm talking about is more like the fear, the inertia, and the anxiety that leads to the procrastination and not doing the things that we know are going to move us towards what it is that we're pursuing. So, like, I just really wanted to talk about fear and a little transparency, a little bit of honesty. The reason that I chose fear as the topic is because it's been 4 months since, like, I did a growth talk, which is when I sit down and do these unscripted speeches on a topic. Is like, it's been 4 months since I did one because, like, I went to Tulum, Mexico. There's been a lot going on in my life. It's been 4 months since I did one, and so now there's, you know what I mean, with that time gap and that distance away from the repetition of the do of the action, is like, there's unknowns. And it's funny because, like, I'm really good at doing this. You know what I mean? I set up a great space to do it. I'm great. I'm good at the production quality of it. I'm good at the editing side of it. But more importantly, this gives me the platform to be able to channel the messages that are afforded to me. Like, I've only ever, like, my job in this world, as far as I'm concerned, is to expand my vessel, to become more and more capable of receiving, so that I can deliver what I have received to others. So I'm just constantly in that, you know what I mean, in that expansion and evolution, expanding on who I am and evolving my understanding about who I am and different things, you know what I mean, different denotable topics in life, is like, I'm just expanding on that so that I can gift it to others. Like, I'm channeling this, honestly. Like, I make sure that I'm the person that I need to be so that I am worthy of receiving, so that I can then take it, interpret it, package it in a way that you can receive it. That actually sounds, you know what I mean? Not like that I need to dumb it down and package it in a way that you can receive it. But, like, we have a hard time taking in information from people that we don't respect, and then even more, whether consciously or unconsciously, we have a hard time taking in information or taking the word of somebody that we don't relate to, like, if there's no relatability component. So that's more along the lines of what I meant by that. It's not like I need to dumb it down into, like, some bite-sized piece so that you can understand it. Like, it's not like that. It's it's just making it so that you can hear me. Like, humans are laughably predictable, and like there's mechanisms within us, whether you're conscious of them or not, that, you know what I mean, partition things off. Like we have the, what do you call that again? The the RAS, reticular activating system, which is like when something becomes important to you, or when you've denoted something as important or relevant to you or your life, you'll start to see more of it. It's like when you decide, like, oh, like you see a car and you decide, like, that's a car for me, I really want that car. Well, you start to see it everywhere. Or if once you purchase the car, like you start to see the car everywhere, and you never seen it, you know what I mean, barely ever seen it before, and now you see it everywhere. It's not that it wasn't there before. It's There's so much information and stuff going on around us constantly that evolutionary, the one of the brain's mechanisms is it partitions off what's important to you and what's not. So even though, like, we would want to consciously believe that we are aware of everything that's happening around us, it's just not possible. So unconsciously, you know what I mean, things are like being partitioned off, and what's important to us based off, you know what I mean, validity of its importance or need to us in, you know what I mean, in those moments. This one's gonna be a little bit more jumbled, and like I just wanted to take a little bit of time, kind of laugh at myself, um, because like it's been a while since I've done this, but it's funny how when like every time I get back into this and I break back into it, my ego wants to believe all the metrics of measure and KPIs, key performance indicators, around whether or not I'm enjoying this or is a success, is like all selfishly motivated. This has fuck all to do with me. I have chosen to do this as a way to package up the information that I have picked up along the way, a lot of which through extreme hardships that I hope that none of you actually ever have to go through in its entirety, to gain the new awarenesses and vantage points that have been bestowed upon me as a result of having gone through them. I can transfer those awarenesses and those new vantage points, meaning like a way of looking at things, like, to you without you having to actually go through the hardships. Now, there's, you know what I mean, there's a little bit of like, you can't obviously collect everything from me with no actual mileage on any of the knowledge that I'm sharing with you. But for the people that are in their own position in the spectrum of the hardship relative to the thing that I'm talking about, I'm just hoping that maybe you don't have to go all the way through it to have that aha moment that led me the fuck out of it. That's all this is. Like, I'm just trying to share my own enlightenments and experiences that I've collected over the years, both in joy and through extreme hardships, to share with you to expedite your processes for the better. There's some things that you are just inevitably going to have to go through to actually get to, but I hope to expedite some of those processes, at least in the form of hardships that may not be necessary to form the identity to become the person that you want to be. Hopefully that makes sense. Like I said, like, I'm a little bit jumbled this time, but I'm gonna put this out there and, like, just, you know what I mean, have a little bit of a giggle at myself. How, you know what I mean, I came kicking and screaming. But let's get back to the actual topic, which is about fear. More importantly, feeling the fear and doing it anyways. You will never be fearless. And, like, to truly be fearless, like, you have to absolutely not give a fuck. You have to not care 100% to be absolutely fearless, because there has to be no sizable loss, perceived loss, to be had for there to be no fear. So obviously, like, it means that it does not fucking matter to you if you don't have fear. Now, another thing to look at is, like, anytime you go to do something great, like get up and give a speech, or do something out, you know what I mean, outside of your comfort zone for another, like there's always going to be that fear. Like your ego is always going to come kicking and screaming. Like the only time that I ever get into a good flow where both my higher self, the version of me that wishes to be of service to others, and my ego get into a parallel state of flow, is once I have done the thing that I feel the fear around, that I'm going to push through and do anyways, because my key performance indicator on whether or not it should be done or was successfully done is the deliverance, being of service. But once I get the aesthetic looking right, and I'm more comfortable, and I like how I look, and I'm flowing properly, and I'm not you know what I mean, then my ego gets on that parallel plane where both my higher self can be of service and my ego can both be exposed, but in a good place, like where, you know what I mean, I'm more familiar with the processes, so even though my ego's exposed, I'm still in a place of comfort, and I get to both stroke my ego and be of extreme service to others. It's kind of the magic spot for me. So like if you're ever being called to do something like this where you're speaking on camera, or you're delivering a certain piece of information, whatever the medium is, whether you're doing it in person, whether it's just something that you're sharing to inspire somebody that you believe could benefit from having that information, it just in a talk with a loved one, like however it is that you wish to convey that, like do it to the best of your abilities, because the more comfortable that you get with how it is that you deliver it, the better your delivery will be, and better what it is that you're delivering will be. There's going to be a whole lot of mumble jumble, and like I don't even know if what I'm saying is making sense, but even if we just spend the next 45 minutes callousing over the discomfort that it takes for me to sit down and get in the zone and do this, well, so be it. I have some Q&A questions around fear I put up on my Instagram stories. I'm going to open it up here and refer to my notes. Okay, so I have 5 different questions that I pulled from the Q&As. Like if you don't hear me saying your question verbatim, you'll find that it was pretty closely correlated to how somebody else asked the question. So like if you don't find the exact wording, like, oh, that's my question, like you will find hopefully that I have in part, or in full, answered what your question will be, because for the most part they were fairly similar. So I tried to do my best to pick 5 different ones so that we can get into a wider spectrum of the information. So I'm gonna get right into it. So the first one is, how can I differentiate between healthy fear and paralyzing fear? The only way to, like, that's a great question. First of all, the only way to differentiate between a healthy fear and a paralyzing fear is the action that you choose to take regardless of the feeling. Now, there's always going to be like natural fears that are signals of things that you should not do, that you should just stay away from. Like obviously, like if I reached out to change a light bulb and I know that it's boiling hot, you know what I mean? Like it's almost like the same fear mechanism giving me that signal that I shouldn't touch it, and therefore I'm not going to. So I don't know if I'm covering that properly. So therefore I'm not going to. But when it's something that is creating an inertia around an action that we know is actually going to be for our benefit, but we're not taking it, that's the differentiating factor between a healthy fear and a paralyzing fear, something that's stopping you. It ultimately boils down to your choice. But I just wanted to outline that, you know what I mean? Like, there are healthy fear signals, ones that should not be ignored, and, you know what I mean, reasons, like, they're definitely there for good reason. To raise awareness around things that you shouldn't do that could cause harm, you know what I mean, to us. But more predominantly, we're speaking around like a healthy fear. So when we're talking about, differentiate between a healthy fear and a paralyzing fear, it's your actions. It's your actions. Okay, so how can I differentiate between a healthy fear and a paralyzing fear? I would say that it ultimately comes down to your choice of actions. You choose whether or not a fear is going to paralyze you or not. And then the contrast point of that is it is a healthy fear. And like, the cool thing is like, if you never got those fear signals to overcome, like, it wouldn't be so sweet when you got to the other side of whatever it is, whatever obstacle you were feeling the fear around. So like, it sweetens the result, but it's also just a signal that there is an unknown in the thing that you're endeavoring to do. So my advice, time and time again, is always going to be to feel the fear and do it anyways. Worst comes to worst, you actually reinforce all of the negative data that you were trying to tell yourself to afford yourself not actually taking the action. Worst comes to worst, you reinforce that. Now, the best case scenario is that you realize that all of your fears were misplaced at best, and for the most part, you wish that you would have taken action faster. Therefore, time and time again, as it continues to happen, the fear arises, and the space between the stimulus and your action or reaction starts to shorten, because like, you literally just start to giggle at yourself, like, why did I take so long, you know what I mean, to just do what needed to be done. So you start to shorten that gap. It's like, okay, well, I did, you know, now I do what needs to be done faster and faster and faster and faster, and through repetition, like, you know what I mean, it becomes very, very quick. So one more time, let's just summarize that really quick. How can I differentiate between healthy fear and paralyzing fear? That's always going to come down to your action. The actions that you take around the thing that is causing the fear ultimately leads to whether or not it's a healthy fear or a paralyzing fear. Like, you make that choice. If you allow it to stop it in your tracks, create procrastination and paralysis, and you know what I mean, a lack of movement, and to stagnate, well, that's your choice. That is your choice. That's what you've chosen to do, and it is now an unhealthy reaction to the fear. Like, trying to think, like, what is a good what is what is fear? A healthy fear is a natural feeling that helps you keep you safe and prompts you to respond appropriately and consciously to danger. Yeah, so it's gonna come down to action steps. Like, is the fear is the fear mechanism signaling you to be aware of something that you shouldn't do, or is it signaling you to feel fear around something that you know that you should do? but are prioritizing talking yourself out of it. That's the difference. I don't know how to, you know what I mean, how to box that off in any better way than that. So number two, what strategies can I use to overcome fear of failure? What strategies can I use to overcome the fear of failure? Well, interesting thing is I have recently landed at a new way of understanding what I believe the fear of failure genuinely is. I believe because like if you think about it, like you don't genuinely endeavor to do something that you truly believe that you can't do. Like not very many people set out to do something that they truly believe that they can't do. So it's like, how can I say this? So it's not that you don't believe that you can accomplish it. Like that isn't it. And like in the black and white context of, well, the fear of failure and like looking at it like that, like you would think on face value that that's what that means, is like that you have a fear of failing at what it is that, you know what I mean, what it is that you're going to do. But I believe the more genuine interpretation around the fear of failure is actually losing the proposed solution in the distant, you know, or off in the future, that like it's your solution, like it's your end game, it's where you plan to end up, it's where you're placing your eggs off in the distance. So it's like it's more of the fear of the loss of the viability of your distant solution. Does that make sense? Like, are you guys tracking what I'm saying with that there? Is like, it's more about losing the credibility and viability of the proposed solution of what it is that you are claiming that you're going to do. It's that. It's not a fear of the actual mechanisms and utilities within the bounds of what it is that you're going to do and your ability to actually do them. That's not it. Most people don't set out to do something that they don't believe they can do. So in order to actually start out on that trajectory, there has to naturally be a belief that you can achieve it. Obviously, you know what I mean, there's going to be some lack of beliefs and gray areas in the actual operational steps in it. But for the most part, you obviously believe that overall you can achieve what it is that you're setting out to do, or you wouldn't set out to do it. You wouldn't even begin the journey. And for a lot of people, that starts out as a delusional thing that they reinforce by acquiring the skills to achieve said thing. It usually starts out as delusion. How do I build confidence to face my fears? Through repetition. Like, you have to feel the fear and do it anyways. And then over time, when that fear response comes up relative to something that you know that you should do, but you're feeling fear around, you know what I mean, something, whether it's a little bit of uncertainty or whatever is raising the fear within the bounds of that scenario that you know that you should do. Well, like that's how you build the confidence over time, is by repping it out and continuing to do that. Like, the more that you feel the fear and act anyways, and then yield the result, debunking the frame that fear was being housed in. So over time, you learn to realize, like, it's a fucking joke. It's like, ugh. Like, you giggle at it. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not fucking scared. It's like, you have the data. You know what I mean? And over time, you build up that data bank of feeling the fear, doing it anyways, and what the denotable result is of pushing through that fear and creating a loop where, like, it just closes the circle more and more and more, to the point where it's like you just giggle at it. because like you've already moved into the automated and appropriate response. So you're just giggling. It's like, yeah, okay, fuck, I'm not actually scared of this. And it's actually where you kind of start to realize like that there are mechanisms and utilities that your brain provides to you in order to keep you safe that don't necessarily align with your conscious efforts, I guess, like with what you know what I mean, with whatever it is that you're intentionally and consciously pursuing. There's always going to be mechanisms and things that arise that create resistance around those things, and through a deeper intention and an added awareness and understanding through repetition, that gap, you know what I mean, that cycle, that loop closes. It gets shorter, 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 and then so after a while, like you're fully confident that your brain is providing a utility to you through through a natural mechanism that through intention, sound understanding, and firm data that you have compiled over time, that you know that you are, that your higher self and your intuition is the one more capable of deciding whether or not we're going to push through that fear or allow it to paralyze us, honestly. So number 4, can fear be a positive influence in my life? Can fear be a positive influence in my life? Big time. Like it's all about how it is that you define it. And like I said, like to the last question, like the more that you wrap it out and the more that you callous over that fear response, like how do I build confidence? Or no, can fear be a positive influence in my life? Yeah, the more that you act on it, the more that you appreciate it as an old friend and a signal. It's like, okay, this is just a sign. Like people probably think that I'm fucking crazy, but like when something bad starts happening to me, I literally already start thinking to myself, like, man, something great must be coming. Because like the contrast point, like the stage has been set. The contrast point, like, okay, something shitty just happened. But it's setting the stage for contrast for the great, like for the positive equivalent. And the cool thing is like equivalent, yes, but it's going to seem greater in contrast. I don't know if that makes sense. But anyways, fucking like I said, this one's gonna be a little bit off. I'm still gonna post it. I don't really care. Like even if I'm just rambling for 45 minutes and it doesn't make any fucking sense, I may revisit fear when I get a little bit more, you know what I mean, confident and comfortable and better at delivering what it is that I'm trying to talk about. I might just be rambling a little bit right now. Um, can fear be a positive influence in my life? Like, yeah, I really do think that it is. And once you can denote what that response is for, like it's a beacon for growth. It's a beacon to better yourself. It's a sign that there is something to push through. Growth doesn't happen where you are. It happens on the other side of pushing through the things that you don't want to do. That's where the growth is. Um, so yeah, like I think that fear like can be a very like big positive influence in your life once you can understand what it's signaling, and you if you don't allow it to paralyze you. If you feel the fear and do it anyways, then yeah, it's a very positive influence in your life. What are some practical steps I can take when fear arises in my daily life? Um, Understanding what it's trying to tell you, understand what message that signal is trying to provide to you, and building on the confidence of making the right decisions over time. Now, when people are feeling like that inertia and are procrastinating, my suggestion would always be that it would probably be better to fail and get the lesson in the failure than it would to try and construct it from an abstract place and never actually take the action. Like, you're far better off to fail, fall flat on your fucking face, and through introspection find the lesson that that failure is going to yield you, and use that to continue to build the better version of yourself. Like, fail early, fail often, and fail forward, my brothers. Honestly. Like, if you're fucking waiting around trying to make the better decision, the best decision is always gonna be to make a quick decision, fail, and get the data. Like, hang on, let me start that again. The time that you're gonna spend in indecision is better off making the wrong decision faster, falling flat on your face, getting the data and the lesson that that failure is going to yield you, which will inevitably reroute you towards the right outcome. Like, fail early, fail often, fail forward. Like, I can't tell you how many times, like, I've watched people just freeze up, scared to make the wrong decision. But if they would have just made the wrong decision faster and collected that information, they could have landed at what inevitably would have been the right decision a lot faster with even more data. And again, creating that contrast point. So it's like, well, yeah, I fucked up, but I still got it. Yeah, I still got there. So, like, it creates the contrast for the right decision being even sweeter, because you didn't fucking have all that, like, harbor all that inertia and procrastination and anxiety around making the right decision. It's like, fuck the right decision. Maybe the right decision is to make the wrong decision and to get the information that it's going to yield you so that you can land at the right decision faster. Big time. Okay, getting into the fucking flow of this a little bit better. Like, honestly, like, I love doing this too because I'm an introvert. Like, I spend a lot of time alone. I don't have, you know what I mean? I don't have a girl right now. Like, unless it's like my mom, my dad, my assistant, or a business partner. Like, I don't talk to people too much. And, like, I haven't even been going to commercial gyms lately. So, like, this is really good for me to really, you know what I mean? To find that flow where I can start the conversation with me and you. Even though, you know what I mean, like, it takes faith to believe that you are going to end up on the other end of this. But I have that. I really do. Like, I know that is what's been placed in my heart. What are some practical steps I can take when fear arises in my daily life? I don't know. I think I covered it, but it's just uh, learn to be excited, learn to anticipate fear. It's like, yes, fear is going to arise, but be confident in your ability to denote whether that fear is founded or not. Like, is it misplaced, or is it trying to deliver a message, you know what I mean, an important message to you? Most of the time, it's just us. It's that inner bitch. It's that little dialogue trying to stop us from pushing through. Like, everything that we want is on the other side of all of our fears. So if that doesn't inspire you to find everything that you're fearful of within the spectrum of, you know what I mean, what it is that you're pursuing, then maybe you don't want it bad enough. Like, when I get scared of something, it's like, I almost like, yes, I'm on to something. And like I swear to God, but like that's my inner dialogue. You know what I mean? People probably think I'm fucking crazy if you know what I mean. But it's just over time, running. You know what I mean? Running this real life experiment of collecting information, expanding my consciousness and my awareness. It's just how it's gone. So we covered today about fear. Um, I'm gonna probably recover this, but I didn't want to set up the camera, set up the lights, come clear across the GTA to the space. You know what I mean? I've chosen to do this and not do it. So you know what I mean? Maybe this one comes out completely fucked up, whatever. I'm probably gonna revisit it, just because I'm so jumbled up. But I may come to find that this is maybe more of the one of the more genuine growth talks that I've done, and this is where I have successfully conveyed more of myself, my authentic self, my higher self to you. We'll see. I can't wait to review it and to edit it. To be honest, like hopefully, you know what I mean. I'm gonna post it. Hopefully, if one of those questions were yours, that I covered it and that it was asked and answered. I hope, like I said, scattered as fuck, and it comes down to repetition. Like you got to continue to do the thing, do the thing, do the thing. Like you don't just get better at it. Like I have 117 growth talks on YouTube, but that time off, like there's always that reset point, like where you know what I mean. It becomes unknown again, and there's a new fear, and that creates all these ugh, ugly emotions and ways of cultivating approaches and stuff. Like I love when I'm in my confidence, in my power, and you know what I mean, really like in that place of true flow. That's why I do this, like just to be able to, you know what I mean, to expand your consciousness by creating new vantage points and awarenesses in life to cultivate these things. But anyways, I'm gonna wrap this one up. It's a little bit jumbled. Like I said, I'm probably gonna revisit this topic because it is a very important one, and I do want to make sure that everybody's questions were adequately asked and answered. But I'm still gonna throw it up just because this is a real time, clear example of feeling the fear and doing it anyways. Like if you're looking at me, you can see me in my eyes, you see my mouth talking, you see my lips moving right now. I'm feeling the fear right now and doing it anyways. So if there was somebody more qualified to share the message around fear, at least in the in the compartment of feeling the fear and doing it anyways, I believe I'm genuinely qualified to do that today. So I hope that you share. I hope that you enjoyed the message. I hope that I could convey some valuable points and new awarenesses around fear and ways of understanding it, and new adaptations and ways of handling it in your daily life. If you ever have any questions, you can always reach out to me on Instagram at I am Coach Dash. CoachDash. It's really my backup account. The main account is I am Coach Dash with two I's on the beginning, so I am. Either way, if you send me a message on there or ever have any questions, or go give a follow, if you want to partake in the Q&As. I list them 24 hours before. So there's usually a Q&A 5 times a week that goes up in my Instagram stories. So if you'd like to partake on that, please go and give me a follow on Instagram. Make sure that you hit the like and the subscribe button on YouTube. It's only going to help the algorithm push this out to more men who perhaps need to connect with somebody like me who actually genuinely gives a fuck about them and is just trying to provide them with the information so that they can properly level up. I appreciate you guys listening if you're still here. And until next time, let's grow together.